guys, it's Billy from Sweet Darling, and this week I got myself some cake sketching templates, so I'm going to be showing you how I used those and how they worked for me. I got my templates as a set of 3. I got the round, squares and elements in one bundle, and I believe they do a hexagonal set as well. I don't really do hexagonal cakes. I think I've done 2 hexagonal stack cakes in my whole cake decorating career. So that was one I thought I probably wouldn't get much use out of, so I'll stick to the rounds and squares and the little decorative bits as well. So I just started off having a play, and I wanted to do a big cake to start with. So I grabbed a sheet of paper, grabbed my round set of templates, and the first thing I did was draw the top circle for the very top tier. Now all of these templates are completely in proportion, so as long as you follow the guide for whatever numbers you're doing, so say if you're doing a 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 cake, your cake will look perfectly in proportion. So my top tier was a 6-inch. I drew the first circle, and then for the rest of the tier I just lined up the height measures on the sides. So I chose to do mine 5 inches deep, so I just lined it up to the number 5 and then drew around the rest of the tier. For the next tier down I wanted an 8-inch, so I picked the 8-inch top circle, lined it up against the bottom of my 6-inch tier so it's fairly central, and drew around the circle again. And then again I lined up what I wanted my height to be. Now this was my second tier and I wanted this to be an extra deep tier, so I lined it up to the 7-inch mark and drew around that. I then did exactly the same thing down for a 10-inch, a 12-inch and a 14-inch, each one of them being 5 inches deep. At the very bottom I wanted a baseboard to finish my cake. Now as my bottom tier was 14 inches and I had done 2-inch increments all the way, I wanted my baseboard to be 16 inches. So I picked this 16-inch circle, lined it up as I did before with the rest of the tiers, just centralised it along the bottom tier, drew around it, and then I used the measure underneath the 1-inch mark, so it's just a shallow line that would work well at representing a cake board. I did finish off the display with a cake stand at the bottom. On the element sheet there's lots of different shapes and sizes of cake stands, so I picked one that would work well for this and drew around that. There are a lot of options for how to decorate your cakes on here. There's 2 different sizes of polka dots. There's horizontal or vertical lines, depending on how you turn something, diamond lines, so you can do lattice patterns, 3 different types of flowers, leaves, and geometric shapes as well. So pretty much everything you could want to do is covered. So for this, because there is a lot to do, I decided to stick to a cake I would actually make, and that tends to be sugar flowers offset on each tier up the cake, and then a plaque for a monogram on that extra deep second tier. So I chose one of the flower designs on the elements template. This is really clever. You can build up the design so it's very clear which section you do first, and then you move the template along and add in the next petals, and then move the template along and add in the last petals, so it's really obvious what you need to be doing here. So I did this and outlined a flower offset on each tier up my cake, and I then chose a leaf and added in a few leaves behind each flower. I then picked an oval to outline where my monogram plaque would be on my extra deep tier. Now you can fill these in however you like. If you're a whiz with colouring pencils and pens, then of course you can do that. I find watercolours easier because I find they're a bit more forgiving. So I got a watercolour set from Amazon and just filled this in as I pleased. Of course I filled the leaves in with a nice bright green. I chose a darker pink for the flowers, and then I used a very light wash of pink to just go onto the tiers. I chose to do a gold outline for my monogram plaque, and then I used a very fine black pen to outline all my details on my cake and add in the initials for the monogram. And start to finish, I took maybe 20 minutes to do this. Now there is not a chance in hell, I've spoken about this before, I have 0 artistic streak in me whatsoever. I can't draw, and there is no way I would have been able to do this without these templates. And as such, I had to go at this. I did this one, and then I had some actual cake designs to do for a wedding customer, which normally I would just think about and put into words, and it's really difficult for people to understand what I mean. She likes a brushed gold effect, so I said to her I'd work out some different ways of adding that in, along with daisies and ferns, which are the floral foliage theme for her wedding. I was very quickly able to put on paper the different ways we can do brushed gold. Now obviously this is just an illustration and a representation of how it will look. The effect looks completely different on a cake, but it does give them something to actually look at and understand what your words mean. So really quick, really easy, really satisfying, so fun to do, and so made me proud to look at them afterwards. Like when Chaz got home yesterday, I said, look what I drew today, and he was like, oh my god, how did you do that? Because he knows I can't draw either. I just think this is a brilliant bit of kit to have if, like me, you can't really draw. Now of course, as always, I will link to the product underneath this video, and I will link to the watercolour set. I got that from Amazon, and my fine black pens, I got those from Amazon as well. And actually I got a paint palette and a sketch pad from Amazon as well. I got really into it. I was like, I'm going to be an artist now, I can draw. But the templates here are by far what I would call the necessary things doing the other bits, the colouring, and you can use whatever you like. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're thinking about getting the cake sketching templates, I hope it has helped you a bit decide that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me underneath. I've drawn 7 cakes and a few cupcakes with this so far, so I have used all the templates quite well. So do feel free, if you've got questions, pop them underneath and I will take a look and answer what I can. So thank you so much for joining me again. Have a wonderful week and I will see you next Monday.